Let's talk about Instagram. With other platforms blowing up like TikTok, is Instagram dead? Is it still possible to grow on Instagram? Is the book community still on Instagram? These are all questions I'm going to talk about today in this video, where I share how I grew from around 20K at the beginning of the year to over 100K this year alone. And so yes, it is still possible to grow. It is still possible to have a successful author page on Instagram and sell your books through Instagram. So let's dive into what a good Instagram page consists of and how you can be using it as an author. Okay, now I'm not going to talk about setting up your Instagram profile because it's very similar to your TikTok profile, which I talked about in a recent video about speaking directly to your reader. So be sure to watch that one afterward if you need help with crafting your mission statement for your bio. The difference with Instagram is that you do have more space. And very important, in the name on your Instagram page, you can actually use a lot of keywords. So I'll show you over here. You don't have to pack it full of keywords or use every single character count that you have, but it is really great to frame yourself as a writer or author, or include your genre in your Instagram name so that when people are searching for those things, they can find you. You'll have a better likelihood of showing up for people who are looking for a horror author, a fiction author, a romance author, a business author. If you are in the nonfiction realm, you want to be specific about what your niche is in nonfiction. So that is my first recommendation for your Instagram bio. If you don't know me, my name is Shelby. I am a book marketer. I have published multiple best-selling books and have sold thousands organically through social media and grown my audience to more than 500,000 followers. And so that is why I teach social media to authors and creatives who are overwhelmed and looking to get help with their social media and actually seeing results with it too. Now let's dive into using the different features of Instagram. Now for me, I've seen the biggest growth through Reels. I know a lot of us are like, no video content, please no video content on Instagram. And they have stopped prioritizing Reels as much as they were in the beginning of the year, but they're still so great for getting in front of a new audience. So I definitely recommend that you try out Reels. Try out what works for you. If you are already using TikTok or you're making Facebook Reels, you can easily repurpose these to different platforms. So it really doesn't take a ton of extra time, but it is really worth it because if you have a reel blow up and it gets in front of the right readers, it can be really, really great for sales. So we have Reels. We have regular feed posts, which is just your regular picture. You can also add multiple pictures to make a carousel post where people can swipe through. Those are very, very engaging, really good for how-tos, more educational posts, showcasing a new book, such as a scene in a new book, an excerpt from a book, showcasing reviews from that book, or doing cover reveals and showcasing the front cover and then the back cover on the next slide. There's so many different things that we can do with it, but we want to keep in mind that it needs to be engaging. We want people to swipe all the way through to all of the pictures. That is another great way of increasing your reach, because if you can have something that is shareable, and you keep in mind we want something that is shareable, something that someone wants to save and come back to later. So our first slide of our carousel should be very engaging and enticing and make people want to swipe through and read the rest. And if it can be something that is engaging or inspirational or educational, we have a better chance of those posts being shared to others. So those are really great to use. Do not discount the ability of feed posts. I had one feed post this year get me 5,000 followers alone, just because it was shared so widely and got way more likes than my usual posts. So if you can be consistent with those as well as Reels, you'll have a wonderful content mix, and you are using multiple features of Instagram, which they always like. Now, there's also a couple others. There are stories and highlights, which are really, really crucial for connecting with your audience. They won't expand your reach too much, but what they can do is get people engaged with you. There are so many ways to use stories to engage your readers, so let's talk about those. So within stories, there are engagement stickers. I swear by these for increasing engagement on your posts. There are emoji stickers, emoji sliders, there are polls, quizzes, and of course the link sticker, which is a way to directly bring your audience to where you want them to go. Unlike other platforms like TikTok, where you need at least 1,000 followers to have a link in your bio, with Instagram, there is no longer a minimum, so you can link people directly through your stories to buy your book. or to your website or to sign up for your newsletter. Crucial, crucial, crucial. You should absolutely be using stories on a regular basis. They are very informal. You can show up every day or multiple times a week very easily because you don't have to make graphics for it. You can just show up as yourself, take a picture of you, boomerang a video talking about what you're working on or sharing an update about your book, announcing, that your book is out and really connecting with people in your stories. And people can DM you very easily from those stories. So it's a great way to, again, get people in those DMs and connect with them, have a conversation with them. And so Instagram is just so great for community building and really getting a connection with your readers, which is really important for future loyalty of your books. You'll have people who are connected with you and are ready and waiting for you to release your next book. And then you can save your best stories to highlights on your page. What I recommend for your profile is that you use highlights strategically. So you might have one for about you, and in that highlight, you go over who you are and what you write about and what your goal is as an author. And then you have another one that is dedicated to your books. Maybe you have in multiple series, so you might have multiple highlights for each series, and you talk about what the book's about. You have maybe a couple of reviews in that highlight and then a link to go buy the book directly so that people who are new to your page or who are loyal readers can quickly go onto your profile, see that you have these highlights about your books, click through, see which one is interesting to them, and go buy it immediately. I have a couple. There was one that I did for the launch of my book. So I talked about the launch, how it was going, visiting stores whenever the book was out, doing Q&As a lot about the new book, which was really engaging for my readers because I would answer their questions about the book and encourage them to go buy it. So all of these are different ways that you can be using the different features of Instagram. And then finally, we have live streams. And these can be really intimidating for authors. Whenever I bring these up to the authors that I work with, it's like either I love them, it's so easy, love it, and then I hate it, this is my worst nightmare. But I want to encourage you to try, because this again is going to be the most loyal followers that you have who show up for you on live streams and ask you questions and leave comments, and getting to connect with these people on a regular basis is so helpful for sales because they are already on your side and they love you. This doesn't mean that you should prep for a live stream if you have never done it before. You can make an outline, have people submit questions to you and answer those during your live streams so you're not scrambling for something to talk about. Highly recommend live streams and doing them every few months or so. It doesn't need to be every week, but it can really help connect with your readers a little bit more. You can do these for book launches, Q&As leading up to your book launch. Okay, now let's really dive into the growth that I saw on Instagram this year, because I know that's what you're here for. As I mentioned, a lot of my growth was from Reels, but I definitely had some feed posts that performed very well as well. What I did was take the time to learn what my audience enjoys on Instagram. Now, as a side note, I had been creating short form video content for TikTok for quite some time before I was actually able to do Reels. I didn't get access to Reels for quite some time, only at the beginning of this year, whereas a lot of people had it all during 2021 as well. So I was really behind on Reels, but I had that experience of what worked on TikTok to try it on Reels. And what I found out was that the same thing was not working for me. Now, other authors have a different experience and are able to post their TikToks to Instagram just as they are, and it works great, and that's amazing. If that's you, I definitely recommend that you test that out. But for me, I found that different content worked on different platforms. I found that Instagram, people are still used to pictures, they're getting more used to Reels, but they want something quick and then they can tell what's going to happen right away. With Instagram, people were used to seeing a quick page of my book. I'm a poet, so I share a lot of poetry, and they didn't necessarily want to hear me reading it out loud in a long drawn out video like they do on TikTok. So I posted some voiceover videos and they were not performing well. And I said, I have to switch up my strategy for Instagram. I can't do the same thing as TikTok. And that is so important for adapting your strategy as you go and realizing what is working for you and what's not. So I started posting consistently pretty much every day with Reels or every other day, and seeing a ton of growth from that. And sometimes my target audience was reached and other times it wasn't. And I found that Instagram was pushing it out to a lot more people that aren't necessarily my target audience. So that's one thing that I want to say about my audience growth, is that it doesn't necessarily mean that I grew 80,000 people who are my ideal readers and people who are going and buying my books, because that's not always the case. And I have found with TikTok versus Instagram, TikTok's a lot better about showing my books to people who are going to buy versus Instagram. I ended up actually cleaning out a decent amount of followers followers from those really viral reels that brought in some people that weren't necessarily my target audience, which is never something that I had to do for TikTok, and I have a much bigger audience there. It is kind of different, and I wanted to be honest and transparent with you that follower count is not everything, and that this growth doesn't mean that I sold 80,000 books from those 80,000 followers that I got. I sold thousands still, which is amazing and wonderful, but it wasn't like every single follower translates to a sale. So my top tips are to experiment more with Instagram and be really consistent. I definitely became more consistent once I saw that it was working for me, which was kind of a nice confidence boost. And for a lot of us, it usually works the other way around, where you have to be really consistent for a while before you start seeing results. So if that is where you are right now and you feel like you are posting on Instagram but you're not seeing any sort of results, I want you to change up your strategy and then stick to it. It's very similar to what I recommend for TikTok as well, where once you find what's working, you stick to it. And then eventually there's going to be low periods. I've experienced low periods since those big, huge moments of growth too, where my engagement is a little bit lower. So it's really important to create new content and look back regularly on what has worked well for the past month, for the past few weeks, so that you're not getting stuck doing the same old thing you've always been doing that is no longer working. It can be a drag to change strategy, but I was stuck for a while at, I think it was around like 13 or 14K. I was stuck for a long time there, and I wasn't changing up my strategy and trying new things. And then whenever I finally did, I saw a huge spike. The Bookstagram community is still there, and people love reels of books. So I want you to go onto Instagram and search for your genre and check out all of the videos that readers are posting and writers are posting about their books. Get a sense of what content you could do, and go today and film a reel with a hook at the beginning that captures your audience, that speaks directly to your readers. Try to keep it around 7 to 10 seconds. This is what I found works best for me, and other things will work well for you, but if you haven't been trying it much, start with that and see what works for you. Film a 7 to 10 second video of your book. You can do page flips, you can do spine flips, which are all videos I talked about in my TikTok video, or you can try other types of short form content, such as speaking to the camera directly like I'm doing right now, holding up your camera, talking about your book, or talking about maybe an issue that's covered in your book that might be attention grabbing and enticing, and just post that short, add text over top of your reel, and see how it does, because the best way to find out what works for us is just by experimenting and putting ourselves out there, which can be scary, but it is so worth it in the end whenever you actually do see results. To summarize this video, I talked about how to use all the different features of Instagram. I could, of course, dive so much deeper into these, so let me know if you would like me to deep dive into any aspects of Instagram. But my biggest growth has been because of Reels, and I don't want anyone to be turned off by that, because I know that there is a love-hate with Reels. But it is such a great way to grow, and it can be really, really simple to put together. And you can then repurpose it onto other platforms such as TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Facebook Reels, and cover a wide audience that way. The other things that I did were being really engaging with stories, connecting with my readers often in stories, using those engagement stickers, and talking about my book often, leading up to launch and after launch to get thousands of sales through Instagram, and then continuing to post feed posts as well, because a mix of content is really good. So all of this together really helped with my growth this year, and I hope it will help with yours too. If you need any further help with Instagram, I'm happy to deep dive in future videos, so let me know if you have any questions. I also have a full step-by-step guide on accelerating your author Instagram that dives so deep into all of this, that talks about underutilized tools that I use on Instagram to see success. And I will link that guide for you in the description of this video, because I launched this guide last month and it has helped over 100 authors so far get more engagement and get more results with Instagram. So that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I love Instagram, and I know that it can be a little bit draining when you're not seeing the results that you want. So I hope that these tips will help you experiment a little bit more, get out of your comfort zone, and try something new on Instagram this week for your book marketing strategy. Thank you for listening. Please like this video and leave a comment if you want to see more from me, and be sure to subscribe, because I will be posting more book marketing videos and tutorials for you on a regular basis. Thanks for watching.